So recently I uploaded a video on why the Beyblade X anime was not cooking. Unfortunately, it was a massive disappointment. Hopefully it gets better in the future. But after uploading that video, I got so many damn comments saying Beyblade Burst was better or that I need to watch Beyblade Burst. I hear y'all, I understand. I binged the entire first season of Beyblade Burst and it's fantastic. Beyblade Burst is a W anime. So in today's video, I will be going over my thoughts on the first installment of the Burst generation and explaining why it is that good. Now before I talk about the story, I'll quickly talk about the visual aspect of battles in the show, since that was one of my huge complaints with Beyblade X. Taking inspiration from the 4-layer system of the OG Beyblade generation, the structure of base and burst consists of 3 main components, being the layer, disc, and driver, with the mechanics of a lot of the bays reminding me of the Metal Fight generation. The main gimmick with Beyblade Burst is that the bays can explode, allowing for the player to gain 2 points from winning a battle through a burst finish, with layers needing 3 points to win a match in most cases. So the big question while watching this show was, will the anime be able to replicate these explosive battles? The answer is yes. Beyblade Burst doesn't have the issue that the X anime has, where battles put me to sleep. Battles are short and fast paced, but the good fight choreography alongside the energy from the characters allows for moments to be hyped. I also think that the result of a lot of the matches in the show being unpredictable helps with this, where if the match does seem to be predictable, the feats certain characters achieve in these matches are surprising. Like, I did not expect Kensuke to defeat Ben. Beyblade Burst also does something really unique in that launch styles is this series gimmick for characters achieving their special moves. VALT lowering his launcher so that the Bey can ride the stadium slope to increase its speed through the rush shoot, Shu holding his launcher vertically to combine the powers of both hands, or Louis doing a jump spin while launching for his nightmare shot. Bey's abilities in real life translate to the anime in cool ways too. The rubber teeth of the variable driver wears down as the show goes on, and it being the plot device for Valkyrie's awakening, or the protrusion of Excalibur's layer and disc lining up when the Bey is close to bursting, resulting in a dual impact attack. All really cool abilities that find a really unique way to strike a balance between grounded and fantasy storytelling, so I'm really excited to see what wacky shoot styles characters manage to come up with in later seasons. Now, Beyblade Burst follows Aoi VALT, an elementary school kid who is crazy about Beyblade, inspired by his childhood best friend Shu, who is a Beyblade prodigy, a part of the 4 Spin Emperors, which is basically the Elite 4 of the show. So through Shu's influence, VALT aims to win the national championships, and on this journey, VALT meets other bladers at his school and forms the Beigoma Academy Bay Club. So most of the beginning sections of this story are introductions to the supporting cast. Beyblade Burst spends a lot of time developing these characters, allowing you to see all different sides of them as people. Characters like Dinah, Kensuke, and Wakio all have interesting subplots throughout the show. For example, Dinah goes through an arc where he's so desperate to win that he cheats, and then he realizes that if you need to win and you have to sacrifice who you are, that's not worth it. So that's a really wholesome character arc, and he really takes accountability for what he's done. So that was really cool to see. It made me respect the character more. The only character that kind of feels underutilized for the majority of season 1 is Kiyama, and hopefully that changes in later seasons. Now, aside from side characters, the most important thing is my thoughts on the protagonist, the character who I'm going to see on screen most of the time. And I love VALT as a protagonist. He is the heart of this story. Yeah, he's an idiot, but it never comes off as annoying. He reminds me of Yuma from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. I'm a sucker for goofy hyper characters. Most comedic moments with VALT, I find myself chuckling. Like, even though it's childish humor, VALT is just so full of energy that I can't even bring myself to hate him. I think it also helps that the characters feel like human beings. This show has like damn near a perfect balance of slice of life and action moments. Like, even in the big final tournament arc where most series would just solely focus on the action, Burst continues to throw in moments for interesting character interactions or just downright wholesome moments that connect me more with the characters. Some of my favorite episodes in the season are 27 and 28, no stakes episodes where the cast participates in practice team matches to better understand their ability to predict which bladers to send into battle depending on the matchup. The battles are unpredictable because the writers understand that when a match has 0 stakes, there's an opportunity to have characters that won't really have a chance to shine when the stakes increase later on to get some focus. Seeing Wakia lose to Kiyama was great because I know Kiyama won't be getting any big wins later on, and then most of episode 28 is centered around Wakia's fear of heights being used as a plot device to showcase his vulnerable side around the rest of the cast, which allows for some really great team building moments like VALT helping Wakia walk over the collapsing bridge. Because Bey battles don't last as long compared to other generations, so the show can spend half of an episode with some more down-to-earth moments that set up the storyline for said battles. And there's never really a time when I'm watching some of these chill moments of Beyblade Burst and I found myself being bored, hoping to myself that the show would get to the action. But back to VALT. A lot of what makes VALT intriguing to watch is his rivalry with Shu, which I love. It reminds me of Asta and Yuno from Black Clover, two childhood friends who compete against each other in a healthy way. It's really nice to see just how much they respect each other. Like, even though Shu starts the series being way stronger than VALT, he's still inspired by him and genuinely wants to see his friend improve. So then after a lot of the introductory episodes to new characters, the show spends a couple of episodes setting up the plot line for the team tournament arc, which has some of the best utilization of a cast I've seen in a Beyblade series. You would think that with VALT being the captain, he would play in every match, but he ends up losing at the start of the arc, taking a backseat for a majority of the tournament. And with the team being dysfunctional, VALT's character arc is him understanding what it means to be a leader, and as a result, his strength as a blader also improves. It is really similar to what Beyblade X was trying to do with Bird, although it is actually good this time. Like, the characters in the story acknowledge the issue with VALT's leadership, and it's presented as a serious problem. Wakia literally spends 2 episodes repeatedly calling VALT a bum. And the choice of having VALT take a back seat for most of the arc pays off once Louis, the main antagonist of season 1, is introduced, because the arc shifts to heavily focusing on their battle. Louis is the Ryuga of this generation, but without the I'm possessed by evil powers plotline attached to it. Louis is more like Ryuga from Metal Masters, the pinnacle of the verse that is constantly working towards new heights while simultaneously being annoyed that no one can challenge them, with VALT being the first one to ignite Louis' spirit in a long time. The first altercation between these two was insane. VALT versus Louis round 1 is basically VALT going through the hyperbolic time chamber. VALT gains tons of XP from facing off against his deranged kid, going from getting absolutely annihilated by Louis to getting a draw against him, but ultimately still losing, which sets up the stage for the final arc of season 1. Now, the finale of season 1 was greatness in its most raw form. I did not expect myself to be jumping out of my seat and screaming at my screen so much. The individual tournament arc is Beyblade Burst's version of Battle Bladers, and it's just as good. There, I said it. I did not know that I was going to enjoy this final section so much the way I did, because Battle Bladers is a high bar. When writing these videos, I take notes for each episode, and there are multiple episodes where I'm saying this is the best episode in Beyblade Burst so far. It's that good. This arc is the moment also where VALT becomes a complete badass. Episode 43 being the prime example of this. During VALT's match against Kuan, VALT locks in and hits this boy with the Ultra Instinct level stare down. Kuan was talking crazy and VALT is like, shut up dude, it's time to blade. VALT entering the zone is when the series is at its most hype, because it is such a stark contrast from his usual demeanor. It's like the Luffy effect in One Piece. VALT versus Shaka is just raw meathead action, the classic dopamine rush as I normally describe it, because at first the battles in this series are more grounded, but as the stakes increase, things slowly start to become like the previous generations. VALT and Shaka have Super Saiyan-esque auras around them, and there are gusts of wind leaving the stadium as base clash. At the speed things are escalating, I am expecting some world-ending threat down the line. Beyblade Burst really might have its own Diablo Nemesis level threat at some point. But back to VALT versus Shaka. The first time witnessing VALT instinctively come up with a new launch style was an experience I can't get back. I was literally losing my mind, pumping my fist, saying VALT is him. And then Shu versus Wakia and Shu versus Louis were great matches as well. Any match with Shu is honestly a treat to watch. The dude works the hardest out of all the characters in the show, and with the added knowledge that his body and Bei are basically a ticking time bomb due to injuries, the tension in every match involving him skyrockets. But the best match in this season easily has to be VALT versus Louis round 2. This match is ridiculous. From VALT doing the Super Mario jump before launching, getting a burst finish on Longinus, to VALT and Louis both launching their bays in mid-air. But while everything has been hinting towards VALT being the first person to make Louis experience defeat, VALT loses at the last second. Gege had to have been writing this episode. There's no way. This felt like when Ash lost to Alan in Pokemon X, Y, and Z. Whoever wrote that episode needs to get out of the studio, period. Now, while VALT losing like that did annoy me at first, I don't think it's horrible writing in the same vein as the Pokemon situation was, because you kind of have to remember that VALT starts the series not even knowing how to launch a Bei properly, and then it ends up defeating 2 Spin Emperors while going extreme diff against Louis, who would have lost if not for the crack in the stadium. When you really put it into perspective, VALT has an insane power progression, but it never felt rushed or unearned, because VALT has the most balanced win to loss ratio I've ever seen from a Beyblade protagonist. He's constantly battling against bladers at a higher level than him, so it makes sense that he would improve at such a rapid rate. This was one of my biggest criticisms with Bird and Beyblade X. Constantly training in a harsh environment should result in insane growth. That is VALT. He makes massive achievements while also experiencing huge setbacks. It's like whenever something positive happens to him, the cruel reality of the world humbles him, but the kid just never gives up. So when VALT eventually gets these moments of triumph, they hit so hard, which is why I'm going to let the writers cope with the dynamic between VALT and Louis, it seems as if Beyblade Burst is more of a setup for the next season, Beyblade Burst God. It is a really ballsy move to have the protagonist lose at the end of the season, but if the writers are going to take their time to fully flesh out each character to their maximum potential, like I think they are, then we might have a Beyblade classic on our hands. Overall, the first season of Beyblade Burst was amazing. I am really excited to see where this series goes. I'll be making videos covering each saga of this generation of Beyblade moving forward. Next is the God Saga. Currently, I've only watched the first episode, and it seems the series is going in a direction I did not expect. Shu seems to be the big boss of this season with how the opening is framing it. VALT moved to Spain. This Beyblade verse really has its own NBA draft system. So I'm expecting Metal Master's level of greatness this season. Also, by the way, with the episode length of these sagas, I'll probably split up videos covering them into 2 parts moving forward. That way you'll get content on this series more frequently. Plus, it'll probably work better with my current upload schedule since I'm back to uploading 3 to 4 videos a week. I post updates in regards to content on my communities tab, so be on the lookout for when the next review is dropping. Also, let me know in the comments what are your top 3 favorite battles in the first season of Beyblade Burst. If you stuck around till the end of the video, I just want you to know that I appreciate you. And if you want to talk to me about anime related topics, join my Discord server. Also consider becoming a channel member, another way to support me and I support you back with shoutouts at the end of the video, early access to new videos, custom emotes, and members only videos depending on which level of membership you decide to choose. And if you're someone that enjoys anime content that keeps it real, consider subscribing so when I hit 10k, you can brag about being a day one. I gotta get back in the kitchen to cook. Peace.